after you. After you.
Oh, do you want it up now, or are you letting that create out kids?
Yeah, you can do that, but just, they don't have a presentation, do they?
For what?
I don't know if they do or not.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's fine.
I'm going to
Just
give a
keep,
report tonight. 20, it's going to be 27 minutes.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight, and welcome to the Abington Heights School Board meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Would everyone please rise and pledge the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. O'Day, could we please have roll call?
Mr. Abdullah,
Here.
Mr. Azar,
Here.
Mrs. Henderson,
Here.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Here.
Mrs. Karam,
Here.
Mr. Moran,
Here.
Mr. Robeson,
Yes. Here.
Mrs. Tierney,
Here.
Mr. Acker,
Here.
9 present.
The legal pad.
Can we please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Can we please have a motion to approve the minutes for the board meeting of May 7th?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Hillebrand,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is for board reports, but I just want to stop for a moment and say what we're going to try and do is have board reports, in particular on the Facilities Committee and some of the work they've done. And then we are going to have an extensive presentation by Dr. Schaefer on the construction project, and after that, public comments. So, and in between that, of course, the student representatives. But my point is, I want to make sure people know exactly how we're going to be doing the public comments. I want to try and have the public comments after we've made as much information public as possible, so that when you come up and make a public comment, if it's about the building project, you have the best information we have at the same time, okay? So with that, are there any board reports? Mrs. Henderson? Mr. Vaughn?
All right. Curriculum Committee met on Wednesday, May 7th, after our marathon full board meeting. I wanted to thank the members who stayed for the meeting. I know it made for a long night. Mr. Calder and Mr. Evans also joined us. We had 4 items on the agenda. I'll just run through them quickly because I know we have a lot on tonight's agenda. The first thing we did was reviewed the new comprehensive social studies curriculum that was written this year. Mr. Calder did a great job leading his curriculum guiding team on writing a new comprehensive curriculum. Currently, we do not teach social studies as a standalone content in K through 6th grade. So they created resources that will be taught by the elementary teachers that will be more supplemental in nature from K4. 5th and 6th grade will now have lessons that will be taught after PSSAs for the 7 remaining weeks of school. 7th grade, we'll be doing world history. The biggest change, and I do want to comment on this because I have been getting a lot of questions. I want to dispel any rumors that are out there. 8th grade will now be learning geography. Civics will continue to be taught in Abington Heights School District. It is a state standard. It is getting moved to as a high school curriculum. So those students who are current 8th graders and above have already had civics as a part of their middle school content. So moving forward, they will have the choice to take the new written civics class as an elective, but those incoming 8th graders and below will have to take it as a requirement when they are in the high school. So we are not getting rid of civics at Abington Heights. It'll still be taught. It's just being taught at a different grade level, different level. I'm sorry, my mouse is not working. Anthony's excited. It's still working. All of the links to the content that was written it will be on the website, and it will be in board docs. We also went over, PBIS is one of the things, our initiatives for a comprehensive plan. We are working with the IU to do a deep dive in the PBIS work that we're doing. So each school has basically taken a survey, and each school has also highlighted the things that are working well, things that they're doing, and things that they have coming up. We will be conducting surveys again. Parent surveys will be going out. They went out at the beginning of May. Teachers and student surveys will follow. The purpose is to assess school climate and to give a voice to the students, teachers, and families. We completed our caregiver workshop series. We are looking at a way to rework them for next year. I do want to thank those who were involved in holding those monthly caregiver workshops. We also did a quick review of the different types of assessments that we do with our children so that all of the curriculum committee members had a comprehensive view of what assessments are we using, why are we using them, what is the frequency, when is benchmarking used, when do we use summative assessments, formative assessments, standardized assessments. We just wanted to make sure that all committee members had a shared understanding of the assessments that are being done. And we also finished up with talking about AI. We reviewed our current policy, mainly being the goal to uphold academic integrity while students learning how to use it to responsibly enhance their work. We talked about different considerations that can be found in the committee report on board docs. Our next steps is really, we've been talking to the administrators to see how they're using it to enhance, and the teachers are using it to enhance what they're doing in their everyday jobs. And we're going to do a deeper dive to get a specific view of how they are using AI in their daily work, and then we'll determine what the next steps are. Okay, I believe that's it.
Thank you very much.
My mouse isn't working, so this was from memory.
Any other reports before Mr. Azar?
Mr. Acker, thank you.
Mr. Azar, facilities?
The Facilities Committee met on Friday the 16th on an ad hoc basis in the immediate wake of receiving the bids for the middle school project. Our two primary consultants for the project were both on the call, ICS, our construction manager, as well as KCBA, our architectural and design firm. The two purposes of the ad hoc meeting were, one, to review the bids that we received on the 4 different prime contracts. There was a lot of concern going into the bid process about tariffs and what the impact would be on the proposals. Unfortunately, we were, I will say, pleasantly surprised. I had some very significant concerns, as did others. But the bids did come back very close to the budget, within 1%. So Dr. Schaefer will go through some of that during his presentation tonight. The second, and really the bigger reason we had the ad hoc meeting, was to talk about one of the alternates to the bids, which was included primarily because of our concerns about the tariffs. There was an alternate included in the prime contract for the general contractor that would exclude the gymnasium at the middle school. And once we received those bids from all the bidders, the Facilities Committee got together to talk about whether or not to recommend to the board tonight to accept excluding the gym at the middle school. So to make a long story short, the committee unanimously approved not recommending to exclude the gym, so in essence recommending to keep the gym in the bids. And the 3 reasons that I will mention to everyone tonight. The first one was the fact that we primarily included it because of the concern about the tariffs. And when the bids came in, basically at budget, that concern didn't manifest itself. The second reason is, and everybody talked about this during the committee meeting, the existing gym at the middle school is very substandard, very small, and doesn't serve the interests of the middle school students currently. So we need a new gym at some point, and the fact that we could do it now was very attractive to the committee. Waiting would probably result in higher costs. Costs tend to go up over time, and so we could avoid the potential inflation risk of building the school in the future, and there is a real need today for that additional space. The third reason, and perhaps the most important, is our administration was strongly recommending to keep it. The experts that are in the school that we rely on every day to tell us what's needed at the district, we're all strongly recommending that we keep it within the proposal. So that was the primary reason for the meeting, and that's the recommendation that we're making to the board tonight to not accept that alternate bid. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're certainly going to have some comments after Dr. Schaefer's presentation.
May I ask one question about that committee meeting?
Sure.
Was our business manager present at that meeting to discuss the financials of the results of the bids and to help us, guide us through the financial decisions that were made that night?
No, the business manager was not at the meeting to do any budget review or any additional review of the budget. The review in the meeting was purely to talk about the alternate bids themselves, the dollar amounts that were received, and determine whether we would accept it or not.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is our student representatives. Gia, it's a good night, right? This is the last night you have to
I know,
sit next
right?
to Mr. McVetti.
Yeah, the season is coming to a close now as the school year's kind of dying down, but not too many notes this evening. But here they are. Our environmental science class took 2 teams to the annual Envirothon, with the teams placing first and second in the region. One team moved on to the state competition held today right outside of Pittsburgh. Next, several junior students have received recognition for the National Merit Scholarship Program. Those students include Mark Barbrak, Jonah Kahn, David Zurich, Sona Hamanali, and Michaela McDaniel. Last night, our annual reflection ceremony at Montail Country Club, we honored all students who received scholarships for their tremendous athletic, academic, and leadership efforts throughout their high school career. Congratulations to all those students. The National Honor Society will be inducting members from the junior class and awarding honor cords to the senior class on next Tuesday, May 27th. Congratulations to the new inductees, and thank you, seniors, for your impact on the environment at Abington Heights. Senior Rec Day, the time-honored tradition, will be held this Friday, May 23rd. The senior class officers have filled the day with fun, including a hypnotist, senior superlatives, an outdoor cookout, and many other activities to help commemorate their time together. Lastly, the junior-senior prom was held this past weekend at Fiorelli's. The junior class planned a wonderful evening for 500 guests to dine and dance the night away. Overall, it was a great night. Thank you to the junior class advisor, Ms. Brown, and of course all the junior class officers. That wraps up my notes for this evening. Thank you so much.
And we hope you have a good summer.
Oh, thank you, you as well.
Good evening. This is my last meeting, so I thought I'd do you guys a favor and keep this one a little bit shorter than normal. But that being said, our spring sports were very successful, and even though we're at the end of the year, our athletics remains in full force, even in spite of all the weather-related challenges we've faced, especially in the past 2 weeks. We are currently entrenched with district and state playoffs among multiple sports. As of Tuesday, May 20th, our varsity teams have achieved 6 league titles, with our girls lacrosse, softball, boys tennis, boys volleyball, boys track, and girls track all taking the league titles. Our unified track and field captured the Special A PA Northeast Regional Championship and is competing in states this weekend, May 23rd through the 24th. Our varsity boys and girls track and field teams will also be at the state championship this weekend, held at Shippensburg University. State qualifiers include DJ Rogers, Aaron Bartel, Anna Puchalowski, Reese Morgan, Maggie Coleman, and Tamara Seed. Our boys tennis captured its 12th straight district title as the team went on to compete in states last week. Abington Heights has 3 individuals representing us in states this Friday, the 23rd. The 3-time AAA district singles champion, Praneel Malaya, and the AAA district doubles champions, Brady Comstock and Liam Farrell. Overall, the team went 3 for 3 in titles available this season. And Abington Heights is represented well in district playoffs, with our boys volleyball and softball both hosting district semifinal games tonight at Abington Heights, And tomorrow, the 22nd, baseball hosts its district semifinal, while the girls lacrosse is competing in the district final, both at the high school. So I really encourage everybody to go out and support our teams. They've had a wonderful success this season. We'd like to see them continue that on. And through our partnership with the Lehigh Valley Health Network, we are again offering free on-site physicals at the high school nurses suite for athletes entering grades 7 through 12 in the 2025-26 academic year. Physicals will take place in our school's nurses suite at the high school on the rescheduled date of Tuesday, June 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. And as a reminder, athletes must pre-register for the physical at the specified times available, and that link will be emailed to the students and families within the next few days. And please refer to our athletics website, www.ehsdathletics.org, for the most up-to-date information. And as this being my last board meeting, I'd like to sincerely thank my administration and all of the board members for the kindness and support you've shown me these past 2 years. And I just thank all of you.
Thank you.
Don't go away. So, typically this is the point in time where we ask the senior student rep, what are your plans?
What are my plans? So next year I will be attending Northeastern University for their international business program. And through their international business program, I will be studying in London come September 1st for the entire year.
Oh, that's great.
Very good. And
That's great.
what are your career plans?
My career plans, I'm not too sure. I would like to go into economics or international business, something along those lines, with a big investing banking company, something like that.
Owen, thank you very much for your time here, your service to the
Hey, as a
School
reminder
district.
to all of our parents here that have high school students, why don't you tell them about what are you going to be doing this lazy summer?
This lazy summer, I am going to be working nonstop.
Tell us your hours. Yeah, I had this
Um,
conversation.
So a typical summer week is about 70 to 75 hours for me between two jobs because college is expensive. So got to get through it.
Very good. Owen, thank you very much for your.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you, Owen.
Good luck.
Okay. Dr. Schaefer, I think you kind of have a double header here, if I understand
the
this right.
Clio Club,
With your
yep.
report, we'll turn it over to you.
I'll turn it right back over to Dr. Tioni in the high school Clio Club. Am I right? Oh, here we go. Right? Okay. Yep,
Okay.
you're right.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking at an agenda. Thank you for having me. I'm Lisa Bath. I am high school English teacher, and I'm here to propose to you an approval for a new chapter of a national organization called Clio Club, which is part of a Clio initiative that began in a high school in Florida in 2021. So it's a brief overview of why I'm here. So thank you for your time. I will also do my very best to try to keep this concise. I have a lot of information because it's been tremendous to have this experience this year, but I'll try to keep it concise, as I said. So first of all, I saw a segment on CBS Mornings back in November. Unfortunately, homesick, decided to settle down and watch a morning show on a Friday morning, and I saw a segment that was part of a series called Kindness 101. And it was about a group of students from a local high school, and again, this was in Florida, who went to a local senior center to help seniors learn about the technology they carried around with them all the time. However, they just didn't know very well how to use all of its potential. And so they were feeling kind of disconnected and isolated. So these students decided this was working very well, developed a relationship with the people at the senior center, and continued to do this. Very, very much like our student representatives had a tremendous amount of initiative and vision and made it an official organization out of it called CLIO. And CLIO stands for Computer Literacy Education Outreach. So while it started there, it has grown up the East Coast, and when I saw this, I just said, we have to do that. I want to do that, and we have to do that. So I'm going to read a couple of things for you from the official Clio Initiative website to give you the what is it exactly, what's its mission, because of course, as part of the national chapter, we would uphold all of these. So it's an initiative that bridges the digital divide between generations, connecting high school students with seniors to share essential technology skills, and I say seniors meaning seniors in our community. The mission is to empower seniors with knowledge and confidence to navigate the digital world, helping them stay connected with loved ones and maintain independence. So how it works is, as I've made a reference to, student volunteers meet with seniors in local community centers, it can be libraries, it can be senior living centers, et cetera, to provide one-on-one guidance and training with smartphones, computers, any digital tools that they have that they feel like they have a need to understand better. So beyond technical skills, and this is what I've had the privilege of witnessing firsthand, beyond technical skills, Clio creates meaningful intergenerational connections. So it enriches both the students' lives and the seniors' lives and serves a part of our community that our volunteers aren't necessarily targeting in other groups, but this group specifically does target seniors in our community. So I am requesting recognition for an Abington Heights chapter of National Clio Initiative, and of course for approval to be the faculty advisor creating an EDR. If approved, we'd be only one of 35 school chapters in only 15 states at this point. According to their website, there are only 35 in the country. And I think it's very exciting to consider being a part of that. There's actually only one other Clio initiative in Pennsylvania, according to their website, and that's in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So we have had some experiences already with how this works. I've been very fortunate to have the support of Dr. Tioni to have a provisional Clio club, and we had 64 students join our Google Classroom, and a consistent, I'd say 30 to 35 students, although we did take attendance, so we're between 30 and 35 who showed up for meetings in my classroom. I think we've had about 4 meetings thus far. But what's great is that we were able to move beyond just talking about it and actually do something. So I'm very fortunate to have part of our student leadership team here. Very briefly, we have co-chapter leaders and we have a chapter support team. So instead of just having a president of the group, because I had the freedom to do this, I made 6 leadership positions. Not everyone could be here tonight, but we do have several. So I wanted to ask them to join me because they'd like to talk about the specific experiences we've had, again, briefly. But we've been to the Gathering Place, and that's because I reached out to Ann Armazani, who was a longtime middle school teacher here. She's very active with the Gathering Place, told her what we're doing, and she said, we'd love to have you. So we took a group of 13 students to the Gathering Place on March 31st, and we spent 2 hours with them just meeting one-on-one, sitting, having conversation exactly as it says, building intergenerational connections, but also helping them with their laptops and their phones and having a really neat experience. So in addition to that, which Morgan Kelly is one of our representatives, she'll be speaking about that. In addition, we've also made a connection with the Abington Community Library and Judy Detter, who is running adult services at the library. And I will speak more to that in a moment, but that's our other community connection. So Morgan, if you'd like to, oh, you're right behind me. Go right ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. So my name is Morgan, and I'm a member of the chapter support team for Clio Club. I'm speaking on behalf of what we as Clio have already accomplished thus far on our mission to help the senior community navigate new technologies and bridge the gap between generations. We had a very successful first meeting at the Gathering Place right here in Clark Summit. I met with an extremely sweet senior, but she was genuinely scared of her phone. We're all scared of new things, but anxiety about something that has become such a prominent part of everyday life saddens me. No one should have to feel that way. We as Clio want nothing more than to alleviate the stress of venturing towards something so new and foreign to our senior community. My interaction with this lovely woman was entertaining and enlightening for the both of us. I taught her how to take screenshots and even taught her how to open emails, which we both laughed as she turned up a Christmas elf jingle from years ago. We shared conversations, and she enlightened me about her own experiences, likes, and interests. We ended up having a ton in common, and we both shared an appreciation for the performing arts. And we talked a while about that and a number of other things related to the topic. At the end of our interaction, she told me she would keep a list of more questions she had for us and random things she wanted to tell me. She walked in feeling really nervous and scared to even touch her phone, but left feeling confident and excited to use her phone. This experience was not only positive for both parties, but acts as a vessel to soften the rigid, stereotypical differences between two generations. I hope to continue our endeavor to serve our seniors and students. These seniors built our generation, and we are honored to help them navigate ours. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Vita, and I'm a member of the CLEO Club, and I'm also a part of the CLEO chapter support team. As Morgan mentioned, the event we had at the Gathering Place where we built our relationships with our senior community members, the volunteer experience gained during our events is crucial for the students' academics and extracurriculars. In the post-graduation preparation class, all juniors are required to pass to graduate. Volunteer hours are required. Volunteer hours are also required for major clubs such as the National Honor Society and Interact Club. CLEO Club provides opportunities for students to fulfill those necessary duties more effectively and purposefully. Thank you.
So in addition to what we've done with the Gathering Place already, they have asked us to be regulars next year. We've greatly appreciate the opportunity to do that. And I've been in connection, as I said, with Abington Community Library, which recently received a grant for something called like Tech and Teens. And instead of hiring students, because they could be paid with the grant money, Judy Datter, as I said, is part of the adult services coordinators. She asked us if we would bring our students and if we could use the money in some way to support what they do, like having get-togethers where they actually pay for, let's say, snacks, or they pay for any tools or accessories that we buy for people. We'd like to get, of course, T-shirts. We have the CLEO logo. We'd like to get T-shirts made in various other ways, but she specifically reached out to me and said, I think we can partner, and I'd like to talk to you about this. So one of the things we did, we met on Friday, April 18th. We sat and talked about it and decided we definitely would have a standing relationship if we are official. And she would like us to be going regularly to the Abington Community Library. She would reach out to senior centers and, of course, library patrons, and many of them are seniors to begin with, and invite them to our programs and events. So that is an experience that we're looking to do. We're actually going next week to make a plan for next school year. I feel like our group is unique in that, as I said before, we do target the older community members and their needs. We all know that our phones keep us connected, and that's one of the things that we want to be able to provide for them is a sense of independence and confidence, but also keeping them connected with family members and their community. Another way I love how this organization works is that I actually couldn't start it. There are a lot of things I didn't have access to initially. When I reached out to the creators of the initial CLEO, they said, great, thank you, we're happy to have you. However, this is about raising up student leaders. They said, once you have student leaders, reach back out to us. So that took a couple months. And we had elections, and we have a group, as I said, of 2 co-chapter leaders and 4 chapter support team members. I thought with such a big group of kids interested, we need to create a number of leadership positions. So that's really what they're all about. And then when they reached out to the organizers, they were provided access to a number of trainings, for example. We don't just send students into the Gathering Place or into the library. They have training specifically about handling privacy issues that may come up if seniors say, hey, can you help me to set up my bank account? And, you know, how we do not do that kind of thing, of course. How to maintain like the privacy and confidentiality of any of their information. Talks about boundaries, even provides us with dress code recommendations for going to our events. General rules for how to speak to them, and how to be good listeners. So we actually had access to a number of trainings from the Clio initiative, the national chapter, which was only released once we had student leaders. So I love that that's the way that this group operates. My role, of course, is necessary. They do require that there be a faculty advisor for the Clio Club, despite the chapter leaders. I focus on, obviously, establishing meeting routines, which we will have officially next year, being present for them, obviously being present for any events that we have. I've been the contact for both Mrs. Armazzani and Mrs. Stetter because I know them, and I've been able to, with a longstanding presence in the community, be able to reach out to people for the students who may not have those connections. I also will oversee any of our efforts, proposals that the students may bring to me, and be what I hope is the faculty face of Clio, signing off on official events and just being present and being part of everything that they do. So that's my concise version. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'm sure there are things I haven't covered because I have like 6 pages. So if you have any questions or you have comments, I'm happy to take that, but I also know you have a lot to do tonight, so I don't want to belabor the point. Anything?
Mrs. Tier-
This is awesome. I saw
Thank
this
you.
on the agenda, and I was really excited because there's a lot of ways that students want to volunteer, and there's not always obvious opportunities for service. I actually I was in AmeriCorps Vista, and our program, the national program I volunteered for, was connecting college students with underserved populations to do things like resumes and other, volunteer income tax assistance, things like that college students had more access to technology and whatnot. So I think this is fabulous. I serve on the Lackawanna County Library Board, and the Abington Library was one of several libraries to just get a grant for 100 new laptops for the public. So this is a great way for them to actually be used.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the population.
By
Yes.
everyone in the population, right?
Right, and a lot of
Okay.
the population is underserved, and I don't want to belabor this. I know, maybe I don't, but I think that I speak for a lot of us here that I've watched my own children help me or help members of our family
Yes.
use technology, and so this is such a nice way for them to be exposed to a different population and be of service. So thank you so much
you.
for seeing that on CBS
Thanks.
and bringing it to our district. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. If anyone wants to look for it, it's like under the Kindness 101, CBS Mornings Kindness 101 program, but specifically Clio. Yeah, I've been in education 30 years, so I'm actually closer to the seniors when it comes to age and experience with technology. But because I work with the youth all of the time, I feel like I'm right, well, sort of in the middle, not quite, I guess closer to the other end. But I think it's a great way to connect the two generations that I love. So we'd like official approval, but also because the faculty advisor is required, I'm also requesting to have an EDR created for me to do this. And because I am on that closer to the seniors end, I will be retiring at some point, not in immediate future by any means, but I'd like it to be able to continue. So if there's an official position that someone could take over eventually when I would vacate that position, that would be secured by an EDR position. So that's what I would like to officially request. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And thanks to my students for coming along. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go back here. So tonight, we're going to be voting on some aspects of the middle school project, and I wanted to take a moment to speak to the board and to the community, to the folks here in the room. Some of this is a review of what I've already discussed, and I do think it's important to reiterate the steps the board has taken to get to this place that we are today. So I first want to talk a little bit about investing in our future and our middle school project. And I apologize up front, but I was a history major, and that's a perishable skill, but there are a couple things that I still hold on to, and I hold on to them for a reason, and that's because of the job, the calling that I'm currently in, and the role that Pennsylvania has played in that. Public education in Pennsylvania has long been rooted in the belief that strong schools build strong communities. In fact, for those who don't know, the common school reform movement started in Pennsylvania with a lawyer, U.S. Congressman, abolitionist, and architect of the 14th Amendment, Thaddeus Stevens. In Pennsylvania, they believe that education should be universal, non-sectarian, and free. In fact, we didn't start that way in Abington 193 years ago with the Fell School and the Madison Academy. That wasn't the case then, but it became the case shortly after. Thaddeus Stevens argued that the benefits of education extended far beyond the individual student to families, neighborhoods, in fact, the whole economic vitality of the state. And in fact, that was almost repealed in Pennsylvania in 1834 when Thaddeus Stevens made a very well-known address in defense of education to the U.S. Congress, where he talked about, not in these terms, but education being a pillar of democracy and seeing that as a way to social mobility and equity and so on and so forth. It's one of these areas where oftentimes I'm asked by my friends, and sometimes it's like, I cringe when some folks ask me, well, you know, I compare United States to this place, to this place, and to this place. I've been to a lot of countries over the last 30 years, and we talk about education and visit places, and it's few and far between when I find communities outside the United States that educate everybody. So we've done a very good job that way. However, I always come back to that if we think about the Common School Reforms movement, and that is our civic obligation as members of this community and living in this community, you must ask the question or answer the question, what is the value of an Abington Heights diploma? And I've spoken about this several times each year, and I will continue to do so because I think that matters. Oftentimes we talk about education, particularly public school districts in this K-12 focus. And it needs to expand far beyond that. In fact, every year I talk about National Student Clearinghouse data. All of us, if you go to college, post-secondary school, trade school, you're tracked by your social security number, and there's all sorts of data available. I can tell you that the second year fall persistence rate of Abington Heights students, that's their second fall going into college, that is a very important indicator when you take a look at post-secondary education. Ours is 95%. It's 95% in public schools, and it's 95% in private schools. Our 6-year graduation rate, which is a national metric, our 5- and 4-year, all far surpass any national averages. You ask me why I talk about that? Because when I see low persistence rates, that's a correlate and an indicator that students aren't prepared for post-secondary education. And what we talk about is preparing our students for post-secondary education, whatever that may be. And those are the metrics that we follow. We take a look at our AP scores. We take a look at our Keystone assessment scores. We take a look at our NOCTI scores. We take a look at our ASVAB scores. And by all measurable and anecdotal indicators, the value of an Abington Heights diploma in education is unbelievable. And if you want to get into social correlates more, then that matters, and I will argue this till the day I die, more than anything, about where you live. There is a strong positive correlation between the success of the school district and the housing values and appreciation. When folks look for homes, one of the first things they look for are the schools. Are there great schools in this community that I want to move my family to? If the answer is yes, the community becomes very desirable. That's something that we look at. And everything that I'm talking about in this slide is interdependently linked. And if you think that you can maintain it doing nothing, you're wrong. Because just speak to me privately, and I'll give you a bunch of examples about communities that went south because they didn't tend to the details. We're fragile. And you have to work hard for excellence. And it's an investment. So from those early reforms that I mentioned with the common schools, one idea has remained central, and that is communities thrive when we invest in education. The buildings where our children learn are more than classrooms. They are the foundation for opportunity, focus, and excellence. Quite serendipitous, Ms. Bath, that you guys are here today. Communities thrive when they invest in education. When you see a group of students and a teacher here today wanting to invest in the community on their own time for the betterment of the community, that is a pillar of democracy. That is why we invest. We invest in our children, and they're able to pay it forward with other members of the community to help create a better shared understanding. We will thrive as a community. That's what keeps communities strong, and it is an investment. I've talked about the 193 years of education in the Abingtons, and you can see that up here. This is something that I talk about where we were once 6 different school districts, and it wasn't until 1967 when we opened up our new high school on Noble Road where we all came together. So what we're proposing tonight is approval of the middle school construction project, and this reflects the enduring legacy of community support. Just as prior generations built the facilities we use today, it is now our responsibility to ensure they are updated and ready for the students of tomorrow. And to make it clear, this project is not about luxury, it's about necessity and opportunity. We're responding to clear infrastructure needs that affect safety, accessibility, and educational quality. We are positioning ourselves to align with modern educational practices, from collaborative learning environments to STEM integration to many things that we haven't even thought of or imagined yet. And we are making sure our facilities reflect the focus and excellence we expect from our students and staff. And to be clear again, this Board of School Directors has approached this project with transparency, strategy, and fiscal responsibility. When I went through the interview process almost 3.5 years ago for this position, I was sitting with board members who are no longer here, and we had a discussion about facilities. And they said, we've got some new board members coming on, and some of us are sticking around, but we know that we have to make some investments in facilities. And we talked about it. So that's what quick means in education. Because we didn't waste a second. We opened an RFP in the spring of 2022. We're a little over 3 years in. So when I talk about transparency, strategy, and fiscal responsibility, 3 years in, we haven't put a shovel in the ground. If approved, we put a shovel in the ground in the summer, and we open up 5 years from the time we started talking about it. That's due diligence, that's strategy, that's fiscal responsibility. We've had an independent facility study to assess the needs. It was very comprehensive. We have public hearings, plenty of stakeholder input, a project budget that came in below the original $50 million cap, and built-in contingencies to manage the costs without surprises. The next two slides, and this is posted, I'm not going to go over this, but I've laid out a timeline, and I know that I'm missing things. These are some key indicators and moments that we've had, in addition to the 7,000 respondents in 1 year that we had to our survey that we've done for 3 years. Over that same time that we talked about the facilities, we also had to think about how can we leverage grants, create savings, and invest. Over this same time, we've received at least $2.1 million in grants. We've invested shrewdly to the tune of $1.8 million in investments. We clawed back some charter school savings, which is an ongoing battle. We had to make some cuts as a result of ESSER, where we yielded $586,000. All of this yielded $5.1 million of reinvestment into the most important areas of the school district. So this board has thought about, studied, researched what strategic investments into our facilities look like, while simultaneously charging me with finding other ways to generate revenue to help augment the services that we have. So today's vote is a vote for the future. It's also a statement of values. We believe in creating environments that inspire learning. We are honoring our responsibility as stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we are willing to invest in the long-term success of our students and the community. In the spirit of the Common School Reform Movement, we are once again asked, will we invest in our schools as a public good? Will we build a future our students deserve? So with that said, that is a presentation I have. We have a public comment period, and then we have a motion to approve prime bids. At that point, that is typically where the board engages in discussion.
Dr. Schaefer, thank you very much. At this time, we have public comment. We ask that anyone who wants to speak, give Mrs. O'Day a card with your name and where you live. We ask people to keep their comments to more or less 3 minutes. And at this point in time, we have 2 people that have asked to speak before the board. First would be Robin Domenico. An old one? Okay. Well, then we have one person, and it's Mark Stoller.
Evening, appreciate the time. I have the